and welcome back to the Scale Modelling Cafe, and welcome to this week's update. A little bit to get through this week, not least because I've uploaded quite a few videos. There's quite a few to come, and I've finished the project, the Phantom. So more of that in a moment. Right, channel update then. So over the last week, as I mentioned, a few videos have got up. First one, the next in the series of my favourite kits, which is the Airfix Buccaneer in 1/72nd scale. I actually really enjoyed doing those. I've only got a few in the can, and they seem to be fairly popular, judging by some of the comments and the number of views. So I'm going to continue doing some more of those when I go back home next time. I think I've got one more in the can, which I need to edit up. It won't take long, and I'll push that out to you, but I'm not going home until October. So one more of those, and then there'll be a bit of a gap until then. A couple of sprue tours. Not done some of these for a little while. So I did a while ago. I filmed actually the sprue tour for the Clear Prop Key 51 Sonia in 1/44 scale. And it's only that I was editing up the final part of that project when I realised I'd got that in the can as well. So I quickly edited that up and pushed that one out. If you haven't seen it, even if you're not a fan of 144 or Japanese subjects or anything like that, I recommend just popping over just for interest's sake, just to have a look at the mouldings in the kit and the interior, because it's amazing. That led on to, I've just finished recording the voiceover for part 2 of the Key 51 Sonia. Now, it's only a very small aeroplane, so what I decided to do is just condense it down just into one video. So that's going to be a two-parter. One, the introduction, and part 2, the cockpit, the construction, and the painting, and the weathering, and finishing off. All in one video. Managed to keep it relatively short, you'll be pleased to know, but then it was a very short project. I wanted to do it in a weekend, didn't quite manage it, so there's a bit of a gap while I had to go to work it away in the week, and then I just finished it off when I came back. So essentially a sort of a 3-day project to do 2 kits, which I thought is pretty good. I decided to do something a little bit different at the end, and that is do a little piece to camera just like this with my sort of wash up, really, my thoughts on the kit, how I thought it went, and all that. So basically, whereas in the part 1 I outline exactly my aims for the project and what I hope to achieve, and all that kind of stuff, then it kind of answers the question, did I achieve it? Did I produce something that I was kind of aiming for? And you'll see, no, I did not, if you go and watch that video. Nothing to do with the kit itself, just me and the painting. I think most of you have seen the pictures I've put up on my Facebook page now, some high-res pictures, and I've put more pictures at the end of the video in a little montage thing. I was going to put them on my little turntable, but I think actually you get to see more of it for the still, so I did that. Another one to come is the painting and weathering and the finishing off of the Tsukimura Phantom, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, actually, because the other video I've got coming is not a sprue tour, but a review of a book, because I've not done one of those for a while, and it's this one, if I can try and keep the glare off. This is the US Navy and Marine Corps F4 Phantom book by Phoenix Publications. I bought this book a little while ago, but when I went home for Hajj leave, I could pick it up, and I forced myself not to read it until I came out here, and I just finished it, so I thought I'd do a quick review on that. Interesting, I think, these book titles. I really like them, big fan. Right, the Phantom, so that's going on to the project. So the Phantom's finished, it's just sat down there. I've put some pictures up on my Facebook page, and the Modelling the F4 Phantom group. as well on Facebook. I'll go and grab it in a minute and I'll talk through that. Which means the next project, which I'm going to start next week, that is going to be the Edward 109F funny old thing. The approach I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to pick one scheme. I'm going to pick the winter whitewash scheme. I haven't nailed it down to exactly which one I'm going to do yet, although I think I've got a pretty good idea. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do video the one project. Because obviously it's a dual combo, there's 2 kits in the box. The other one I'm going to do as a photo article, and I'll submit that to a magazine. Don't know which one yet. Probably Air Modeler if I'm thinking about it. So that's the advantage of having those 2 kits there. So that's going to be the next one. A few people have asked me to do a winter whitewash, and so that's the one I'm going to do on the video, because I think that would be quite interesting and it'd be something a little bit different to the previous 109. I've recently done the Edward G14AS, which is a kind of classic, albeit late war Luftwaffe camouflage with modelling and stuff like that. I think it'd be more interesting to do the winter whitewash, so I'm going to do that. Right, the F4. Here it is. I've got to be very careful because there's lots of sticky out bits on it. And yeah, here it is in all its glory. As a summary then, some of the aftermarket extra bits. So obviously this is the Zukimura Phantom. Some of the aftermarket bits. Right, seats are quick boost. Cockpit 3D printed decals by Quinter. The canopy set from Hypersonic, which is amazing. Highly recommend that. The master barrels, pitos, you get off of the tail, and the lethal, actually, AOA indicator sticking out the front. Underneath the weapons are Edward Brassin for the AIM-9Bs and the AIM-7 Sparrows. The exhaust burner cans are detail and scale. My mind is failing me. So they're aftermarket. Scratch building wise, lots of wiring behind the pilot seat, and I wired up the gear legs as well. So that's the scratch building bits to that. Oh crumbs, I do have to be careful. Now the canopies, as I said, I used the Hypersonic detailing set, which you get resin, you get photo etch. Really does make them look really, really busy. And actually, they're not even glued in. That is just a push fit. And the reason I haven't glued it in is because obviously I've got to get this back, and there's a danger that they're going to get snapped off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those off, put them in a separate box when I bring this back, and hopefully nothing else will get damaged. Right, the construction of it then, starting off with the cockpit. As I said, I used the Quinter Studio set. I'm going to put that down before I knock anything off. I used the Quinter Studio set. I bought that quite a while ago, actually, if I'm honest, and I was a bit reluctant to use it, but I understand they've moved to Kazakhstan, or one of the stands anyway, so yeah, my conscience is clear using that. Really does dress up that cockpit. They are really very, very good products. I think, to be honest, I do prefer Red Fox because they're not decals. They're printed on some kind of acrylic plastic, so they're solid, so there's no soaking. You just peel them off, glue on the back and whack them on, and the detail is equally as good, I think. I know some people disagree. They said so in the comments when I did the Red Fox review, but yeah, I'm just a big fan of Red Fox. I just prefer the fact that they're not decals, so they're just easier to work with, and the result when you look in the cockpit is equally as good, I think. I added a lot of the wiring in the back. You do get a little bit actually moulded in, but yeah, nothing beats real wire, does it? Especially behind the seat of an F4. So the backs of the instruments were drilled out. I did follow some references to see where they go. I could have done even more actually behind the seats, but I thought with the seats in there and it is quite dark, I just saved a little bit of the effort, if I'm honest there, but only because I wanted to move on with the project. The cockpit detail is phenomenal, straight from the box. With the Meng, I understand from looking at some of the sprue tours and reviews and build-up articles of the Meng Phantom that there's no sidewall detail. So I think if you're going to get the Meng one, yeah, maybe a resin cockpit is just to get those sidewalls would be advantageous. For this though, not required. The detail is really, really very good, straight from the box. But like I say, I added a lot of extra stuff. The actual construction of the airframe, you can see that in the previous part that I've put up. That, yeah, not entirely straightforward. It does take a lot of work, especially with that separate spine insert. But actually, I was very, very pleased in how that spine insert went in. I was expecting it not to fit as well as it did. I understand on the long nose versions the fit is not as good as these, but the as I said, the fit of this was actually really good. Now apparently where the join is, it's not a panel line, it's just a row of rivets. But when you look at the moulded in panel lines, they actually go down to the join. So I thought, rather than just filling all that detail in and then doing a full rescribe job over the span, actually, if I make that look like a panel line, it will look for a better result. And that's exactly what I've done. And I think it looks really good, actually. You can't really tell that's a separate insert once you've just tidied up the seam and all that kind of stuff. So I was really pleased and actually relieved how that turned out. What's also really quite difficult, I thought, were the separate slats on the leading edge. I really just wish they moulded it all integral, because the fit it's certainly not Tamiya. It's not that bad, but it just takes more effort to what I think you should be expending, especially given the fit other parts of the airframe. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, but I managed to get at least the top, the better join on the top, and then try and hide some of the problems underneath. But yeah, that's a bit of a shame, really. And the other thing to speak about the construction is the tailplane is the fit is really very sloppy. So what I did was, inside the rear fuselage structure is I built up with some thick plastic card mounting. So if you can imagine the kind of the gap in the fuselage sides are like that, and then you've got a tab. So if that's the fuselage half there, tab coming in from this way, you can see it's kind of free floating, and you've only got the thickness of the plastic, even though the tab is a lot longer. So I built that up so it's a lot more. It just, you know, it kind of does that now, so it doesn't move. I also drilled and pinned it as well, so they actually interlock. And that's solid as a rock now, back there. So really, that was the airframe. Then it was painted. I had what delayed the project was the MRP paints. I lost one of the labels on the MRP, and when I shook them up and had a look, both looked like the light green. So I had to wait till I went home to bring out my GSI Krios paints, or guns, and I actually used the guns paint on there. But then I went back and I did use the MRP for bleaching, because they are a lighter tone. I actually prefer the GSI Krios tones. I think they are better and they look more authentic to my eye. Although the underside is very, very close. In fact, they're the same. So that's the painting. I used the kit decals for the stenciling and the main markings, and then my friend who I'm making this for, I bought the decals for Scat. We decided that we wanted to do, or he wanted a Robin Olds aeroplane, but he doesn't like nose art so much. And the set of decals that we bought for it had just Scat on there. So that made another delay whilst waiting for friend of the channel Nige to get the do the tail markings for me, which he did. But also I'd gone out and I ordered the Fun Decals sheet just in case Nige couldn't get the decals to me in time. But also it had the tail, the markings on the rudder, and the kill markings on the splitter plate. So this aeroplane is the aeroplane Robin Olds flew in Bolo, but depicted a little bit after that, when the kill markings on the splitter plate had been applied. So that's what my friend wanted. Right. The last thing to say about the painting was the metallic areas down the back end. They are all the A-stand paints, which is the ammo version of Alclad. That's that. Heavily weathered, as you can imagine. Took a lot of toing and throwing. It's very easy to, when you're adding all the tones and things, to actually make it go a little bit too dark. So I had to sort of bring it back again, especially after the wash. And then it was a bit of to and froing, but the burner cans are absolutely brilliant. Massive fan of those. So glad I got them. Right, the weapons, they just built up. That's very straightforward, building those up. The pylons, I forgot to mention at the beginning, were from Mike Reeves at Phase Hanger. So thank you very much, Mike, for sending those. And they are brilliant. And the reason why they're brilliant is, A, the detail on the outside, the panel lines, the riveting is absolutely brilliant. You do see the sort of striations from the printing ever so slightly when they catch it in the light. So I gave them a polish just in case, but after primer and painting and weathering, you can't see them, so you don't really need to sand it down. But the advantage of those is underneath the pylon is they're hollow, so you get all the detail there. I drilled through and pinned the sidewinders, but what I did is like an arse, on one of them I just I drilled the hole in the right place on both of them, but inserted one long wire so I could pass that one wire all the way through the pylon and into the other missile, so it all locks in place. On the other one I was a bit of an arse and I ended up gluing wire in both, which was a bit of a nightmare. But at least they're more secure to the pylon. The gluing area is for the actual launchers is actually really quite small. And it's a little bit tricky because the resin is actually quite brittle because it's 3D printed. So it's the first time I kind of dealt with that kind of thing. So it was a learning experience, but they look absolutely phenomenal. Those pylons and the missiles look great, so I'm pleased with those. I really went to town on weathering on the drop tanks. There is a lot of I don't know if you can see there, a lot of weathering, especially on this particular tank. I like the asymmetric load. I did see a photograph of one of this unit's pylons, drop tank having a lot of black on it, so a black nose, tail and underneath, with what looked like olive drab on the kind of centre section. So that's what I went with on that, and I think it looks really neat to have asymmetric loads and things like that. So that's why the pylons are a different colour. I think it adds an added dimension to that. Weathered with a whole load of oils on that, and then oil wash all over the top, and then all it needed to do really was just bring everything together. So what I tend to do is I'll build the model, get it in primer, ready for paint, and then I'll do all the dangly bits, because I do find I completely run out of mojo when I've done the fun bit, which is the painting and weathering, and then you've got to do all the wheels and the ordnance and everything, oh blimey, I do find it a bit tedious. So what I do is I get all of that boring stuff done, then do the painting and weathering, then all I've got to do is just glue it all together. That's exactly what I did on that, and yeah, I'm really chuffed in how it's turned out, and I'm a bit gutted I've got to hand it over to but there we are. I know he's going to really appreciate that. In fact, I've sent him some photos, and he's already replied, so I know he likes it. But yeah, it's got my kind of phantom juices flowing, and definitely more F4s coming to the channel. So that's that little wash up on the project. Right, what's been happening in the news then? Not too much, fairly quiet week actually, but the importer for Trumpeter into the UK, Bachmann, they've announced that the Firefly is going to be out in Q3. So between August and October. So that is quite close, and they've released the picture of what's going to be on the box art, which looks really nice. Again, kind of biting my nails with nervousness, because we all know how Trumpeter and Hobby Boss can completely cock up any British subject, and certainly their Fleet Aeron subjects, which is a real shame. I'm really hoping it's up there with their better ones. I'm hearing good things about their Hurricane Mark 1 that they've released, and the rivets look ace actually on the Hurricane, so I'm hoping the full Mark is going to be the same. Fingers crossed. I really want to get that kit, and I really want to bring it to the channel. The other news that's come out is Clearprop they announced a little while ago that they were going to upscale their i16 Type 5 from 72nd, which obviously I've built on the channel, to 48th. We knew it was coming, but they've just said it's pretty much ready, and it's coming. So yeah, that's really cool. Their initial release is the Spanish Civil War, and yeah, as you know, I'm a huge Clearprop fanboy. Obviously, I've done the i16 for the channel. I've just done the Key 51 Sonia, which will go out on Sunday, I think. And I've got the 72nd Sonia and the H75N and the MiG-23s here, and they are going to come to the channel, but I'm really tempted by that as well. Yeah, kudos to Clearprop, obviously Ukrainian company. You know, continuing to produce these exceptionally high quality kits when obviously their country is going through what they're going through at the moment. So so well done them, and that's very welcome, and will no doubt it'll be the best i16 and 48 scale on the market. I really hope that their H75N, which is essentially a P36 with fixed undercarriage, made cheaper for the export market, I really hope they do a P36 from that, because yeah, that is sadly lacking out there in the catalogues. Right, there we are. I'm in danger of starting to really waffle on now. So a busy time for the channel actually. Lots of videos going up last week and over the next week. I've got 4 days away this week, so I shall finish the editing for the F4. I don't know whether that's going to be split into 2 or whether I can get it into 1, but there is a lot to deal with on that. We'll have to see. Hopefully I can just get it in 1, and then what I might do is I might try and condense it all into one video of about maybe 30 minutes long, edited highlights if you like, and put that as a kind of standalone one part. So then I think I might do that going forward. I mentioned this last week, I think, or certainly over the last couple of weeks, where yeah, some people might not want to wade through a 30-minute video every week on everything. So if I can condense it all down, then you know, you can pick and choose and horses for courses, or hopefully watch both. Right, I've closed my little green book. That's that. Look out for, go and watch the videos if you haven't seen the latest ones, those sprue tours. Look out for lots more coming over the next week or two. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, bye-bye.